I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and discuss the topics they wish they could teach at school. I was like about to say we, and then I had they written on my thing, so
your brain was
that's why I stumbled. We, they, I don't know.
You know how it goes.
I think I write it differently every time because I probably should say we, but then in our Instagram bio it says they. And
yeah, as if it's someone else writing it for us.
As if everything like that's on all our stuff, it's always written in the third person, but I'm writing it, so it's like a little awkward.
Did not even know that you write it each time. I thought you just said it.
What?
Yeah, I thought you. I didn't know
the intro.
Yeah,
I write it just because I one time I said wine classy instead of night classy, and I think I'm just traumatized from how embarrassing it was to have to like voice over it.
I mean, at least you didn't have to delete a whole episode.
That's true. Luckily, we have someone who knows how to edit, so it was okay. But still not my proudest moment.
Imagine trying to do this ourselves if we didn't have Alec in this whole journey.
Yeah. Hayley and I were planning on doing this ourselves. And then
we were looking at equipment.
Yeah.
We had it pulled up on Amazon. We went to like a little online seminar discovering how to do it yourself.
It would have been such a disaster. We would have had to like re-record entire episodes because we wouldn't know how to edit them.
Yeah, no doubt. It would have been terrible. I'm so glad for how everything has fallen into place.
The Tinder / podcasting gods were really on our side of bringing Alec into our lives. Yeah, it worked out well. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. And so what are we drinking?
I'm drinking coffee and wine. The wine box is near you, so I can't read it.
It is Nighthawk Black, a rich red blend straight out of the box as usual.
Mm-hmm. Fresh out of the box. Room temp.
It's all good. I was gonna make, because we talked about sangria in the last episode, to like have red wine but more summery, and I was gonna go to the store today and get like oranges and lemons and make sangria, and then I just didn't feel like leaving the house, so that didn't happen.
Happens. Yeah. I didn't even know how to make sangria. You kept saying sangria and I was like, yeah, sounds great, but I never took the time to actually look into how to do it.
You just like cut up citrus fruit and put it in wine essentially and like let it soak. You can like add some juice if you want it to be sweet.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just have to do that tomorrow.
Or
the day after.
I guess.
Or the day after that.
We have all the time in the world to drink. We can just keep the party going. I'm about it. We drank last night and I woke up pretty hungover and was scared that I wouldn't be able to drink tonight.
Oh my gosh.
But alas,
that would've been funny.
I am.
She prevailed.
Yeah, I did.
She thought, therefore she did.
Yes. I was feeling pretty good by like 2 p.m. So I came around. I ate mac and cheese for breakfast because that's what I do when I'm hungover.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, settled my stomach real nice.
We had cinnamon rolls for breakfast.
Ooh.
Yeah. What happened was I woke up at like 6 or something and fed the cats and got Safty's medicine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Safty, his little foot got shut in a door due to nature.
Now he has a little club foot. It's so sad.
I have to give him opiates every 8 hours. So I woke up early, got him that, and then I fell back asleep and like it felt like a blink before Tommy was like, hey, it's 9. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I need to get the day going.
Yeah. Alec woke me up at 9. I think that was today. And he doesn't normally wake me up. Usually I wake up first and then just like extend the courtesy of not waking him up. But
happens.
I guess he decided to wake me up this morning. You were messing with your microphone. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh no, I'm always here just in case I need to say something. But you had it covered.
Other than that, I don't have any updates. At least not personal ones.
No, not personal ones. I mean, if we want to comment on the state of the world in the US right now, I think we talked about it a lot last night. We watched the Dave Chappelle special and then John Oliver's special about the police. And I think with us, we put out a statement last week and the prevailing feeling, at least in my heart, is anger.
at people's inability to understand how important this is and understand the outrage of their fellow Americans, especially Black Americans. And when I see voices on Facebook invalidating this movement, I'm just seething with rage all the time.
Yeah, it's getting tiring, but now I feel like I have a better understanding as to what Black people have been, you know, they've been angry, they've been tired of dealing with this, and I'm like, feel like I've been riled up for weeks now.
Yeah.
Like, this is nothing compared to a lifetime, and that's again just white privilege, which is real.
Don't get it twisted. Look
it up.
A thing.
If you think it's not real, then you probably don't know what it is.
You might need to read a book after you learn how to read. Yeah.
Either way, educate yourself.
Yeah. Educate yourself, get angry, get fired up, get active. Yeah.
Other than that, I think that's it. Yeah, we talked about Safety, my son.
The little baby Safety.
Which, by the way, is my cat. If you don't know.
He's so cute.
He's stinky.
He is stinky. Yeah. He smells literally terrible. I don't think I've ever smelled a cat that smells that bad. Not even after I picked up Ghost off the streets did he smell that bad.
Yeah, we're switching up his food, so we're getting a handle on it.
Yeah, hopefully things will get better. Moving on, we got a couple new patrons this week. I want to shout out Cassandra. Thank you so much. If you've donated to us, check your inbox on Patreon. And also, we have another new Patreon sponsor. Hayley, do you want to take this one?
Kelly Malone, my own birth giver, my mother. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It took you a while.
My mom still hasn't donated us a damn dime. So
Stephanie, you need to step up.
Yeah, I don't think she listens.
What if we like made it a competition between our two moms? Like who could support us the most?
I mean, that would be great, because when we started this, I really thought that my whole family and all my friends would listen, and that just hasn't been the case. No one seems to care. So thank you to the strangers that care.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Shout out to the strangers. I will say my best friend, who it is her birthday today when we're recording, Alex Tron, happy birthday. She has listened. Yeah. So that's been good. But yeah, other than that, I mean, shout out to my mom for donating, but it has definitely been different than I thought it would be. Like, you know, we're so excited. We're right in front of what we're doing and we take it very seriously, but it's interesting to see how it's perceived and like the actions that are taken around like the podcast, which I don't know what I would do if one of my friends started a podcast.
Right. I'd probably be the same. Like, and I don't mean to be a bitch because people have listened, but like, I feel like I'd be the same way. Like, you listen to like an episode or two and then forget about it, which I think is what a lot of my friends did. And then my dad, I think, started listening to it, but he calls it a blog. He told me he's listening to my blog. So that's cute. That was cute. That's pretty cute. Yeah. And if my mom's listening to this and I tell everyone that my dad listens and she doesn't, she'll be really mad. So my mom also has listened. And my brother actually, I think, listens to all of them. And speaking of that, he listened to our Rando nodding episode. Yeah. And texted me. And I guess his girlfriend Lexi was Rando nodding like a week before it came out. And if you remember, I mean, I know you do, Hayley, but our listeners, like, you can go to like voids, or what was the other thing?
Voids or points of like density. So like, what is it called? Dang it. I can't remember.
Yeah, but like highly trafficked areas. Yeah. But Lexi went to a void and she was with two of her friends, and it took them to this old house. And on the porch of the old abandoned house, there were 3 dolls. A brunette, a blonde, and a redhead. And she's brunette, and the friends that were with her were like blonde and redhead. And it was just super creepy.
What was their intention?
I don't know. I need to ask him. I forgot to ask about that. Maybe I'll text him after this.
If it was creepy, then it nailed it.
It was just a creepy detail. Their hair match. And then I also just have one more thing written down here. So I got a Instagram DM from a lovely new listener named Amber. And she is from the Pine Barrens in New Jersey. Do you remember when we did an episode on the Jersey Devil? And she just like messaged me to say how she was laughing about how we were like talking about like how creepy and like fucked up those woods must be because she lives there. And I was like, God, I'm sorry. We just like dragged the Pine Barrens. But she thought it was funny. And she also wanted us to know that like living there, most people don't actually believe in the Jersey Devil. It's more of like a cautionary tale that you tell kids to like keep them out of the woods because the woods are very thick and you don't want like your kids getting lost in there.
Very easy to get lost, like we talked about last episode.
Where's the lie? Like they are dark and thick. She also said that like, except like more spiritual people, she says she's a little more spiritual and she thinks that the Jersey Devil might be like a forest spirit that guards the forest against like people with bad intentions, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
It's a nice take on it.
Yeah, I really
liked that. It's so cool
that.
to hear from people that relate to what we're talking about directly.
Right.
Like I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I saw we had like a message on Patreon from somebody basically saying that they're like a scout or something. And like a forest ranger. Caitlin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, Caitlin, you're going to be a big part of this episode. But yeah, saying that she appreciated you mentioning that like when you go off the trail in parks that it affects the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to see stuff like that.
Me too. It's really, really, really fun when you guys really, again, like we really do want to hear from you.
It's
Please
great to
DM
interact.
us. Yeah, it's like the highlight of our life right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, do you have anything else? Let's get into it. So yeah, we breathalyzed and somehow I drank like 3 sips of wine just for pictures and I somehow blew a 0.12, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, we still need to look into because like you have a lower body fat percentage than I do. So I feel like probably alcohol might have, like, it obviously affects us differently and like goes through our blood and our systems differently.
Yeah.
But also this thing is also like $30 from Amazon.
That thing's gotta be faulty because I wasn't even drinking the wine. I was taking like little sips just for like pictures of me sipping wine. So I don't really understand. But I'm drinking wine for real now. So I'm gonna catch up to Hayley, who it was a
0.13.
Yes. So she's gonna go first.
Okay. So, this is a special episode because not only my lesson is a topic that one of our Patreon donors picked out for us, but yours is as well.
Mine is too, and I'm so excited for this one. He told me the topic, and it's been like a point of excitement for a long time. I can't wait.
Perfect. So from our night classy student and beloved Patreon donor, Caitlin, I'm just going to read the message and then I will get into it. And just in case you don't know, if you donate what is now a $10 donation monthly to our Patreon, you get to pick a topic. And so this could be you getting shouted out.
And I do want to say for a while, picking a topic was part of our $5 tier. So if you donated $5 and it said picking a topic was part of your tier, we're still going to honor that. So we have a queue of topics from people. And like, if you haven't told us what topic you want yet, don't fear. Like you can still send it in. We'll still do it. But from now on, just because they were stacking up and we felt like we wouldn't be able to do our picks anymore.
Right. Yeah. We reassessed the value.
Yeah. And we love your picks, but we also we love our picks too.
All right. So Caitlin wrote into us and she said, I've always been super interested in population control. I'm not psycho or anything. I just want to know why humans are so dead set on keeping the human race alive. I can't think of any kind of positive impact we have on any other species. So what if we die off naturally, you know? Like, why are we bothering to look for another habitable planet because we destroyed this one? That's so fucked up. And I mean, it's not like we're saving ourselves. We're saving the super distant human race. Basically, humans are terrible. There's too many of us. We take up too much space, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Am I just batshit?
This message makes more sense to me now that I know that she works in conservation. Not that it didn't make sense before, but now it like really makes sense.
Yeah, having a strong environmental background, definitely. So the main points that I got from her message are like, first of all, let's recognize that humans have a natural desire to survive and pass on their genes. And with that, let's also recognize how we treat Earth, which is like crap. So why do we even deserve to possibly explore options of finding another habitable planet? And then there's way too many of us as it is. Why do people keep having babies?
Yeah, valid.
And that's the route I took. And so in my research, I found out there's actually a name for this feeling, and it is antinatalism. And according to Wikipedia, it is a philosophical position and social movement that assigns a negative value to birth.
Okay.
And so also in my research, I stumbled upon this environmental movement that puts humans at fault for the earth essentially dying. And it's called the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement.
Okay.
It's founded by Les Unite. He was living in Portland, Oregon, and it was founded in 1991. So this guy, Les, he got involved with the environmental movement while he was in college in the 1970s. He's very dedicated to humans becoming extinct.
Yeah, this sounds like a Portland app.
Yeah. I saw that.
This guy is Portland.
I had just found that out today after I had already done a bunch of research on the Voluntary Human Extinction Movement, and I saw that it was in Portland. I was like, oh.
Yeah, of course. Like, is this a Portlandia episode? It probably is.
Probably. If not, then they could make one. So Les, he chose to get a vasectomy at age 25, and their basic mission statement, or I guess their mission statement is, phasing out the human race by voluntarily ceasing to breed will allow Earth's biosphere to return to good health. Crowded conditions and resource shortages will improve as we become less dense. So they're completely basically like bypassing like population control. Like, it is population control, but their whole purpose and like what they want to happen is just like no humans.
Right. And I like that it's voluntary. Like, they're not advocating for like governments to like take this on. Like, it's about doing it to yourself.
Yes, that is a very important distinction. It must be voluntary. It is not like one and the same as like the Chinese government's policy to limit each family to one child, which has recently been reversed. I mean, maybe not reversed, but they now allow 2.
Reversed. Everyone must have 10 children.
Mother Earth is going down. We're going down.
Yeah. Going out with a bang. Literally.
So their motto is, may we live long and die out. So they're all about people living like a full, happy life that doesn't include children.
Yeah.
And so they just believe that humans are the wrong species having babies. They say that as long as extinctions of wildlife continue at an outrageous pace, the international creation of another one of us just can't be justified. Which, yeah. I mean, it's overpopulated, not gonna lie, but it's also like, I want kids.
Right. It's not their prerogative to tell anyone else what to do in terms of having a family. But I mean, their point is valid that humans are destructive, and it can be a good thing to choose not to have kids.
It can be, yeah. And I mean, culture is definitely changing around traditions and having children and the paths in life that we take. But just bring this all back to like Caitlin's question of like, why do people still want to have babies? I mean, so far into this lesson, I think one answer for that can be is that it's just something people want and people do, and like we have a natural like desire to have sex, which a direct result of that is children. And that's just part of evolution. And so this whole movement kind of took a more radical turn when I read about how they kind of promote eugenics.
Okay.
Yeah. So they use the Encyclopedia Britannica definition of eugenics, and they cite it as the organic betterment of the race through wise application of the laws of heredity. And so they have this whole part of their page called Future Generations that's about eugenics, and their basic points of arguments follow as this. Human intelligence is largely hereditary. And they go into cite like twin and adoption studies that suggest that intelligence is just passed on through genes and environment doesn't have as great of an effect. And so building on human intelligence being passed on through genes, they think that civilization depends totally upon innate intelligence. And they say that without innate intelligence, civilization would never have been created. When intelligence declines, so does civilization.
Okay.
Yeah. And so and there is a lot that went into it, and there's still 3 more points. But basically they're like, we don't think there should be any humans, but if there are, then it should be intelligent humans.
There's a lot wrong with this.
Yeah. And this is just a movement that it's an environmental movement. I'm not saying anything about it, but their end game is like no more humans.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we need to single them out. And if you're intelligent, then you'll realize that their argument is correct and that we should all voluntarily select to not have any more children.
Being intelligent doesn't mean a good person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, out of curiosity, could you say the other points?
Yeah, I'm going to keep going. So the third one is the higher level of civilization, the better off the population. At the present time, the fourth one is we are evolving to become less intelligent with each new generation, in their opinion. And then unless we halt or reverse this trend, our civilization will invariably decline. So when I was looking at their website, I was kind of getting like mixed feelings and ideas where they're like, we should be no more versus like, if we are going to survive and like have a good civilization, then we need to like filter out some people.
Okay.
And they talk about how like people are dying of malnutrition all the time, and there are other animal species going extinct due to our excessive breeding. And one point Caitlin brought up was that she was like, I don't really see any positive way humans are actually affecting the environment, and I couldn't find any either.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything we do. Like, there are definitely things we improve upon, but that's just to help ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, like nothing we do helps.
Yeah, none of it is altruistic. And all the things that we're doing to help, I feel like are trying to repair things that we fucked up.
Yeah, and repair them so that humans can keep living.
Yeah. Which is also a natural thing. Like, we live to keep living. Mm-hmm. Like, survival is ingrained in us.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite parts of the website was the voluntary human extinction movement's suggestions, like for alternatives to breeding.
Okay.
So they gave a bunch of like, the way they did it was they listed a bunch of reasons why people say that they want kids, and then they do like, the real reason is this, so here's an alternative. And so I'm just going to list some of them off. Okay. So they said you can adopt, you can be a step parent, you can foster, you can do a big brother, big sister program, work with children, teach. I think that's valid.
Yeah,
that's great.
Totally.
They're like, you can save your money and prepare for retirement. Think about, you in your old age. You can build relationships and be nice to people so they'll visit you and take care of you in old age instead of having your own children.
Right.
And then this one is really funny to me. So the reason they gave was that people say that pregnancy and childbirth are life experiences, which in my opinion, they are. That is not something you can just imagine. And if it's something you desire, it's not something that just imagining it, you'll feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
So their alternative to that is to rent a pregnancy simulator.
Oh no.
Or to choose different life experiences.
Can you imagine if you're just like, I love my partner so much. Like, I just want to go through this process of pregnancy and childbirth together and like bring a baby into this world that's like half of the person I love so much. And you're like, I think the alternative for this would be to hook myself up to a machine that simulates pregnancy pains. And I can just like scream about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, people do that. And I know that because I saw where you can purchase it for between $900 and $1,600. Here's a picture. It adds 30 pounds to your weight. It gives you like cramps and stuff. It puts pressure on your bladder.
It literally looks like a pregnant belly and boobs that you strap onto yourself.
Yeah.
Why?
So that's the pregnancy simulator that you can do, or you can choose different life experiences and pursue those.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
So this reason is some people feel like a good family is essential to career advancement and a strong standing in the community. Mm-hmm. And so instead of having children for that reason, they say just rent children from a talent agency on special occasions.
They did not. Oh my God. So the thing about things like this is if they were like, yeah, if you don't like really, really, really want kids, maybe don't have them because it's better for the environment. And that's your choice. But then they say shit like this and it just like completely like just makes it into a joke.
And they did. They followed up that. They said, and I quote, rent children from talent agency on special occasions, period. Have white picket fence installed. Period.
Okay, so they're just trolling.
They're trolling completely. Their next alternative is to get other hobbies. You can garden, adopt a stream, trail or highway, rescue animals, protect and restore ecosystems. Which, yeah, I mean, we could all do those things.
Yeah.
And still have kids and show them by doing those things that this is how you take care of your environment.
Right. Yeah.
Can you imagine being like, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with my stream this weekend?
Going on stream leave?
Yeah.
You just like post pictures of your stream on Facebook as if it's your child.
Yeah. Do like a gender reveal party. Is it a pond or a stream? Oh my God. Doing like sending out holiday cards to
you and your stream.
I mean, who knows? Yeah. Maybe as this movement gets traction, maybe that's what we're looking forward to.
Did they ever suggest like get a puppy?
Yeah, that's okay. What that's part of this was to rescue animals.
Yeah. Rescue a stream.
Yeah, get that trash out of here. This next reason is I want my kids who don't exist yet to have all the things I didn't have. And their alternative to that is deal with regret and make the best of life. Provide for existing children.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they should say adopt a child and give that child everything you didn't have. Like, yeah. Why are they so aggressive?
Because it's something that they strongly believe in, and it's so hard for them to see any other perspective.
Yeah, I see that. But yeah, I mean, it's the PETA approach. It's just like
it's all or nothing
aggression, and then it just like kicks you in the ass because it has the opposite effect of what you want.
Yeah. Yep. This next one here is instead of having children as a legacy, you can create something enduring and give it a family name. Mm-hmm. Maybe like a statue or something.
Yeah. Give what a family name?
I don't know. Your fucking gravestone.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, no one. I am highly against cemeteries. I think everyone should just be burned or made into a tree or something.
Yeah. Fuck you and your cemetery.
And I just decided that right now.
Everyone should be burned. I mean, I agree, but
okay, let me be PC. Let me be PC. Everyone should be cremated. Is that better?
Not just burned in your backyard? Thanks for clearing that up.
Throw them in the fucking barbecue and get on with life. Yeah. If I'm gonna take the VHMT, VHEM, whatever.
I think we should eat our remains. Put that energy back into the cycle of life.
Like meat or like sprinkle our ashes?
No, like barbecue them up.
Barbecue what
Your
up?
meat.
Your meat. Says the vegetarian since she was fucking 2 years old.
I need a person.
I'm not always a carnivore, but when I am, it's at a funeral.
It's human meat.
I have a question about graves. Like my aversion to graves is that I wouldn't want someone walking through a cemetery and like seeing my name and being like, oh, like who was that guy? I'd rather just be like forgotten than like seen and kind of felt sad about. What's your impression?
But no one looks at you or your grave and
That's
feels
not
sad.
true. I have often walked through cemeteries. Not sad. Sad is not the emotion, but it's like more of a wonder.
Yeah, that's true. Especially if you see someone who like lived a short life in a cemetery. But
yeah, and like names that you recognize or names that are bizarre, or seeing how long they lived, the time period.
That's true. I do like walking through cemeteries, especially really old ones.
They're very calming to me.
But you'd rather people not think about you?
I think that's a very rare feeling.
Yeah,
like
especially for someone in media who like wants to write, like it seems, or like
your opinions are wrong and your feelings are invalid.
I don't think you're wrong. That's just an interesting sentiment because you don't hear that a lot.
But I'm with Hayley that like I would prefer to be cremated or like put into a tree or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would prefer that too, just to like for the planet, and because I feel like when you're dead, you're dead. It doesn't matter. Like you're not gonna like get any pleasure out of people remembering you. When you're dead.
And you're probably, I mean, we can't say for certain, but you probably won't know when people are remembering you specifically and thinking about you.
And I also think it's important to point out, like, there are like religious reasons for burials in cemeteries, and like we don't want to invalidate that. But for us who are not religious,
my personal beliefs, I completely respect whatever you guys have going on, but me personally, not about it.
No, thank you.
I don't want to be buried alive, so I don't want to be buried dead, but I would be burned alive. Just kidding.
All right.
Okay, anyway, and my closing point for the voluntary human extinction movement, which by the way, they refer to their movement in as the movement, capital T, capital N, the movement.
These people, man, I was with them for a second, and now
some of their ideas are legit.
Oh yeah.
And this last one, human extinction will prevent eventual human caused suffering. Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree with that.
But I don't know how realistic that is.
Yeah.
So obviously this group is extreme and believes that at the end of the day, humans are really the ones that are essentially a virus to Mother Earth. So what would happen if people stopped having children? Here we go. So my source here is What If Women Stopped Having Babies by the infographic show. First things first, not just women have babies. There are many people of all walks who can and have given birth. Transgender men, shout out to Pride Month. There are many people who have given birth. So there are 250 babies born. Let's do a quick, just see what you think here. 250 babies born, A, each minute, B, each hour, C, every day.
Minute.
Yes, every minute.
I was going to say second, so I'm glad that you made it multiple choice.
I should have done second. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
So 250 babies born every single minute. That's 130 million babies born every single year.
Dang.
That's a lot of babies. And the estimate is if we all stopped producing new life, it would take about 100 years for us to naturally die out. And then this proclaimed expert on social structure, Dr. Amy Kaler, she believes that we wouldn't be able to even last 100 years to natural extinction because we would all kill each other. She thinks that. And I could not, and that was cited in this infographic show. She's quoted as, if people stopped having babies, we would all kill each other before dying of natural causes.
What?
I Googled her and I Googled that quote and I could not find anything.
Why would we be because we kill each other anyway, or because we'd be so angry about not having babies?
Yeah, basically one of the things that it brought up was our hormones being so strong. Like,
okay, so what about all the people who don't have babies? They're not killing anyone.
Right. This took the view as if like our estrogen and testosterone were cut off. So like basically like if you're like PMSing all the time, and men, like basically if you had no sex drive, a lot of people think that a reason to live, at least evolutionarily, is to procreate. And so without that, like you kind of engage like a weird, crazy side.
Okay, that's just so dumb.
Right. And I couldn't find anything actually on Google, but I thought that was interesting that the estimate is 100 years, just about. And so if we all stopped having babies, not we, if we didn't have babies and everyone else,
if you and I just put the plug on it, finally, we've had so many already. It's about time.
Right. Safety. Goodness gracious.
We have been having a lot of cats.
Yeah, we have. But we rescued them.
Yeah.
We personally did not have cats.
Thank God.
Maybe we should join the VHEM whatever the fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I've already submitted my application.
I don't even know. So you can go to their website and it's like how to join, and I didn't even click on it. So maybe you can figure that out and let us know. So hypothetically, if there were no more babies being born, immediately businesses for babies and young children would struggle.
Yeah.
Which overall would leave a lasting impact on the economy. And as the youngest people started to age out, it would eventually engulf schools and sports and any other services that are provided for children. Mm-hmm. So that would be interesting to see. Like, also, what would we as teachers?
When like all the really old people get too old to take care of themselves, they would die. Maybe that's what she meant by killing each other. Because, I mean, never mind. But like, I feel like people wouldn't live as long because there'd be no nurses or doctors to take care of them once you reach a certain point.
Yeah, there would be no younger generation to step up and take care of the elderly.
Yeah.
There would be no such thing as retirement. And eventually there'd be a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
Because can you lift over 40 pounds like we did last week with that treasure? I mean, this 80-year-old guy could walk to find his treasure, but could he lift it? Probably not. So heavy lifting is gone. Your eyesight starts to go. A lot of people, I mean, there's so many ailments that come with old age just naturally.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen or heard the movie Children of Man?
No.
It's a cool movie where like basically what you're describing has happened, where like women just stopped being able to reproduce and no one knows why. And so it's like the final group of people getting phased out. And so like everyone's either like 40 or older, and then one lady has a baby and this one guy's trying to protect it. And it's such a cool movie.
That sounds really cool. It reminds me of The Handmaid's Tale, kind of.
Yeah, I've never seen that show, but
it's a great
But we should add it to the movie night list.
Yeah, we should.
Let's do it. So far we have the
Castaway.
I was trying to figure out what the one you just said was.
Children of Man.
I knew Castaway. Castaway's been on my movie list for years.
Yeah, Children of Man.
Okay, add it to the list. So yeah, it would be really shitty. For a while until we were all dead. But there's also the alternative before we got really old, is that since we wouldn't have kids, we could spend a lot more money on ourselves and live a much more comfortable life.
Yeah.
So that could be fun. But another point that this video brought up was, how would our mentalities change? It wouldn't be everybody, but there's bound to be people that would be like, well, if I'm not going to be here and my kids aren't going to be here and future generations aren't going to be here, why do I care?
Yeah.
If I litter, if I pour chemicals into the water, if I fly 10 times a week, like, why do I care?
Yeah.
And so it kind of like diminishes the whole purpose of to not keep having babies for the benefit of the earth.
Right. I mean, that makes sense, but also like the earth would recover afterward.
Yeah. And you're right. It's kind of hard to imagine what the world looked like before humans and also like what it would look like after. We kind of have a chance to see. So like, have you heard of the demilitarized zone of Korea?
No.
Okay. So basically it's this place that was used for oh my God. The wine has kicked in. It was used for agriculture, and they used it for rice farming, but it hasn't been touched by people since 1953.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's amazing. There are like rare birds that live there now, and they're absolutely thriving, and human impact like nearly been erased. And like, I checked this out. You can discover it for yourself on Discover Magazine. It's called, the article is called Earth Without People, but like, that's like a real life glimpse into what it would look like. And it still hasn't completely returned, even though it's nearly 70 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is one place on Earth that has not been touched by humans in a long time. But speaking of humans, I want to talk about some numbers. So this next source here is from ourrealworldindata.org. And so in 1900, there were less than 2 billion people on the planet.
Okay.
Today, there are 7.7 billion.
Yeah, it's a shit ton. I remember being in like AP US history in high school and we watched like, there's like a population tracker that you can look at online, and we watched it hit 7 billion.
Oh, really?
And now there's 7.7 billion. It's crazy.
Was gonna talk about the point that like, I remember when it wasn't 7 billion yet. That's such a good thing that you brought that up, because I forgot about wanting to talk about that.
I had no idea that it was 7.7 billion now.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's a ton. So births have like steadily been increasing for a while now. And so I looked up births per year, which I'll talk about now. So like the baby boom happened in the 50s, and it's just been kind of like ticking up since. It peaked in 1988 with 139 million births in the year. And then it dipped down. It dropped by about 9 million by 1998. And then it started to rise again until 2015, when we reached 140 million births. And we're currently in this decline again.
Yeah.
Okay. So the data comes from the United Nations, and they've projected that births will peak again at like 142.9 million in 2047 before taking a steady decline, which they think will just continue to go down and down and down. So projected births in 2099, which, can you imagine what 2099 is going to be like?
It's going to look like a different world. It'll truly be like unrecognizable.
Yeah. The projected is 130 million births, which still sounds like a lot, but it's millions and millions less than.
Oh yeah, as we get developed, birth rates go down because, I mean, there are other options. We don't have to have so many kids.
And so like with population, talking about births, we also have to talk about deaths per year. So yearly deaths have been steadily increasing each year, which makes sense with the population going up. In 1977, there were 45 million deaths. In 2015, we had 56 million. Projected deaths in 2099 are 119 million. The yearly number of deaths and births are slowly starting to come together, which is a positive thing for this problem that Caitlin is talking about with us being overpopulated. And I was going to read this quote from this website, but I feel like things are getting like a little boring. So let me just scan here and we can edit out anything that we need to. Okay. So as the number of births is expected to slowly fall and the number of deaths is expected to rise, the global population rate will continue to fall. And then this is when the world population will stop to increase in the future.
Okay.
So these worries about overpopulation, eventually it looks like we're going to be okay. So as far as like population control, maybe not intentional, but there are other factors that go into why people aren't having kids and things like that.
Yeah.
So according to the Pew Research Center, the global fertility rate is projected to fall below the replacement fertility rate by 2070. So population will start to decrease.
For the whole world?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the same one, you can check it out. The world's population is projected to nearly stop growing by the end of the century. That is the name of the article on the Pew Research Center. Yeah, not all countries are expected to go down. Africa is expected to keep climbing as a continent, climbing for a little while. And that's just something I read. I don't have exact numbers, but that also has to do with access to birth control.
Right.
So people are staying woke, basically. And it's not because they're crying babies at night. It's, people give lots of reasons for not having children. There's an article I read by Amy Bergen in Money Under 30 where the title is, Are Millennials Really Having Fewer Kids? Yes. The number one reason is because they're fucking expensive.
Yeah, I couldn't afford a kid.
I know.
I have a full-time, like, real job as a teacher, and, like, no way in hell could I afford a kid.
Yes. And, like, just to put it into perspective for you, the average, like, middle-class family / person can expect to spend almost $15,000 per year per child.
It makes me feel better about my student loans, because I'm like, as long as I don't have a kid, I'll be the same as everyone else.
Yeah, but it's like, where are we supposed to come up with that money? Like, if something like, if we did have a child, which like one day I'd like to, but I got to figure some other stuff out before then, clearly. And so with projected inflation, it's going to cost about $284,570 between the time your child is born to the time they turn 18 years old, not including college tuition.
Per child
to raise them.
It's a lot of money.
That is naturally conceiving. That does not include the cost of having a child via IVF, surrogacy, or adoption.
Yeah.
And people are still trying to take care of themselves. Like you said, your college loans, debt that we have. Mm-hmm. It's so hard for millennials. We were just talking about this last night. We don't really own anything. Like, we're paying off our cars, but how long am I going to be renting for?
Right.
Forever?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's possible, especially with the way things are looking right now, like with the economy.
Yeah. So it's expensive. Another reason is that culture is just like changing. There used to be a set path where, you went to college, you got a job, you got a house, you got married, and you had babies. Mm-hmm. And that was that. But things are like record scratch. Millennials are focusing on different things, and it's okay to not take the traditional path anymore. And it's like kind of funny because I feel like we kind of riff on, like when we see people on Facebook getting like that we graduated with, getting married or having babies, which is fine.
Yeah, not that we're not saying there's anything wrong with that.
We're just like
crazy.
Amazed.
Yeah, it's crazy to see people my age acting like adults. And I'm still like, I feel like a small child.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, how, like, it's so crazy to me. Like, congrats to you if you're ready for that and if you're in the place in your life. But like, we're always talking about like, oh my gosh, another person is like taking this major life step and I'm still doing whatever the hell we're doing.
Today I had a what the hell moment because I was scrolling through Facebook and there's this guy I graduated with who I haven't seen since high school. And haven't even like looked at his pictures on Facebook, and he popped up and he looked like a man. And I was like, holy fuck, like that looks like a full ass grown man and he's my age. Mm-hmm. And what the hell do I look like? Because I feel like I don't look any different than I did in high school. I mean, I know I do, but I don't feel like I do.
Yeah. It's hard to tell when you look at yourself every day, but then you see other people, and even like people that were 2 years younger than me that I worked at with my first job at the restaurant. I see them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you've really grown up, even though they're only 2 years younger than me. And of course they have, like they're 21-year-olds.
It's wild. I'm so old.
I know.
I hate it. I really do.
People are making money moves, but money moves is the wrong term. People are having babies, but some people aren't.
The opposite of a money move.
Yeah. And another reason is that birth controls have been getting better since basically human existence.
Shout out to my IUD.
Thank you. God for my IUD. People have been trying to prevent pregnancy for thousands of years. I looked at the history of birth control, which I now feel like I'm awoken because I had no idea it had been going on for this long. But Time magazine has a great video about this on YouTube. You can trace it back to ancient China, where they were drinking lead and mercury. Yep. You can trace it back to ancient Egypt, where women would mix honey, sodium carbonate, and crocodile poop together and put it up there before having sex to prevent having kids.
No.
People don't want to have kids.
Like the worst yeast infection of your life so that you don't want to have sex and therefore you won't get pregnant.
Listen to this shit. In Greece, the year 200, a physician by the name of Cyrannus of Ephesus.
Yes.
He recommended women hold their breath during intercourse and sneeze afterward.
I mean, it might help.
Try it, let me know.
Okay.
In Europe in the Middle Ages, it was believed that tying weasel testicles to your thighs or neck would prevent pregnancy.
It doesn't?
Yeah, you smell bad and it doesn't.
Okay.
Damn. Cave drawings in France appear to depict the use of an ancient condom. Cervical cap prototypes have been used since I didn't know who this was off the top of my head. Casanova, in the time like mid 1700s, he wrote about using lemon halves and putting it like on the tip of his penis to prevent conception.
I guess that kind of makes sense. It's like having sex with a menstrual cup in. It would block everything.
Yeah. So like people have been doing things like that for a while now.
Yeah.
And then as we know, and I don't know how you guys feel about condoms, maybe love, maybe hate, but rubber
Let's
Vulcan.
talk about it. Just kidding.
I mean, I love my IUD.
I'm more of a lemon, half lemon guy.
I'm more of a lime girl myself.
I like to cut a lemon in half and just go to town.
Wouldn't I just imagine like seeing a guy going out and he has like 2 lemons in the back of his pockets, like he's like, I'm strapped.
It's like really cool to have a lemon rind in your wallet. I fuck.
Yeah, it looks like his butt has like 2 little nipples because he's got 2 lemon halves in each pocket.
Oh my God. Yeah. So people have been trying to not have kids for a long time, but we still see a very steady increase in births.
Yeah.
Rubber vulcanization process was invented in 1839 by Charles Goodyear, like the tires. And then by 1855, rubber condoms were being mass produced. But record scratch again, anti-obscenity laws prevented anyone, including medical professionals, from talking about them.
Yeah.
And they were very hard to get a hold of.
Not surprised.
So this did not stop women from not wanting to have to bear children. Household products such as Lysol and Coke were used to try to kill sperm. This was not just ignorance. Lysol was advertised as a way for women to, I quote, protect their married happiness.
Oh my God. And you know that I feel like that also, because I've heard about people douching with Lysol, and I don't think it was to, like, maybe some women used it to prevent pregnancy, but like I think it was marketed as like a way to like make your vagina smell better for your husband.
Yeah.
Douching with Lysol.
Like, and still today you see soaps that are like made to like make like fragrance soaps. Like, you're not supposed to have anything with fragrance up there.
No.
Like, if you don't know, listen up. Your vagina naturally cleanses itself.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't need to shove flowers or Coke or Lysol up
No,
there.
your vagina should not smell like anything but a vagina.
Right.
And if whoever you're sleeping with doesn't understand that, then maybe they're not ready to smell a vagina.
Yes. And if it does smell like something's wrong, go to a doctor.
Yeah.
Planned Parenthood. Go.
Yes, please.
Take care of yourself. So yeah, Margaret Sanger, she fought for women's rights in contraceptive medicine. And finally, in 1960, the FDA approved the pill. Huge popularity. Millions of women take advantage of it over the coming years. Other forms of birth control come around, such as IUDs, love that, patches, on and on. So an important
You're like, patches, hate it.
IUD, love it. Patches, hate it. The pill, go fuck yourself. This is a luxury we have in the US. 99%.
And I feel like it's important to point out that like women of color, we have to thank for like involuntarily being the experiments for a lot of these birth control options.
Yes. And even not only birth control, but gynecology, childbirth. So many experiments were done on women of color without
any
anesthesia
kind of consent or anesthesia.
Or consent. Yeah. Fucked up.
Yeah.
So 99% of women within childbearing age in the US have reported using birth control at one point or another. But still, present day, 220 million women in developing countries do not have access to birth control, even though they want it. They know about it. They want it. They need it. So parenting is super tough. We have more information than ever that affects our decisions in having children, such as pregnancy risks, knowing how we pass on genes to children. But all in all, I have a few closing thoughts. It is my opinion that evolution is real.
My opinion. It is a fact.
It is my
Evolution is
opinion
real.
that scientific facts are facts. We have been boning and reproducing since the dawn of time. Patterns and reproduction, they might change over time, but we will always be having children. Unfortunately, the answer to our environmental issues is not to extinct the human race, but rather to actually work on the environment and teach our inevitable children how to take care of the planet.
Right.
And so that's what I got.
Access to birth control.
Access to birth control.
Changing our values.
Educate yourself.
Yeah. The furtherment
Further on.
Of science.
Continuation.
Yeah.
And so I saw a lot of like COVID-19 memes talking about like humans are the virus. And I'm like, I mean, fuck, maybe we are.
Yeah.
But we're a sentient virus.
Yeah.
We have emotions. We see how we're affecting the earth. So we are probably not going to go extinct anytime soon. So in the meantime, if you're wondering why we keep reproducing, ask yourself that question, reflect, but also ask yourself what you can do to actually take action right now, today, because people are going to keep having kids, and it's really about what you do right now. So you can have kids, don't have kids, whatever, but
but do your part.
That's what I got.
Whatever you're going to do. All right. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for that awesome suggestion.
So fun to research.
Yeah.
I know this was kind of long, but I think there's a lot to be said about it. It was kind of a broad subject, and I had a lot of fun researching it. So thank you, Caitlin.
So great. Thank you. And let's hear a quick word from our sponsor.
So we just moved into this new house. Does Ethel Ambrosia know our new address?
Yeah, believe me, I've already changed it and already ordered a new box.
Oh, thank goodness. I love their flavors. It's so fun to just like, first of all, open up the box.
Yeah.
It's freaking mailed to you.
And the box is so pretty, you guys. We always get the variety pack, and so it has all 4 of their major flavors.
I feel so bougie when you open it. You're right. It's beautiful, and just the selection, the variety of flavors. There's mojito, rosé, citrus punch, Moscow Mule.
My favorite cocktail. Yeah. It's like when we first got it, I knew they were sending it to us because they're our affiliate and they wanted to send us a sample, but I got this box and it was so pretty. I didn't believe there were shots of alcohol in it. And so if you don't know, Ethel Ambrosia is a vegan gel shot company. They make these amazing gel shots in the flavors we just described, and they're in a push-up cup.
Not only are they in a push-up cup, but they don't melt. So if you're on the beach this summer, social distancing, of course, or if you're recording a podcast and need to have some gel shots lined up, they're not going to melt. You can have 3, 5, 9 in a row, and they're going to be ready to go.
But you don't need 9 because these things pack a punch. Like some nights we just think we're going to record without getting drunk and we'll eat like 2 or 3 gel shots and they kind of fuck you up.
They get the party started. They're effective, they're beautiful, and they taste super good.
Yes, they do their job. We love ethyl ambrosia. If you want to join in on this magic, you can use our code NIGHTCLASSY at ethylambrosia.com and get 15% off your first order.
So go check it out, get lit, and
eat a gel shot. All right, welcome to my classroom. And our lovely night classy student, Ken Gower, suggested this topic. And thank you so much, Ken. This was a wild ride. And so he suggested the topic of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Have you heard of it?
No.
Yeah, I hadn't
like
either.
A lot of just words to me at this point.
It's a lot of words, and I had never heard of it either, but he mentioned in his suggestion that like Aleister Crowley has ties to it, and that's when I was in, and I was like, this is my topic. I am doing it.
Okay.
Like, who's Aleister Crowley?
Yeah, I was going to say I might be ignorant here.
No, you're not ignorant. Okay. I mean, I know who Aleister Crowley is because I listen to a lot of like paranormal podcasts, but he's basically, I mean, we'll talk about him later in this.
Okay.
But he's a major like magician and like occult person of the Victorian era.
Sweet.
But basically I was in, and I'm excited to do this topic. So first I want to credit occultworld.com, Wikipedia, Britannica, and openculture.com for my research. And so let's begin our lesson. So I want you to transport yourself to Victorian London. And yes. And we're going to start with our main character here, who is Dr. William Wynne Westcott. And Westcott was a doctor of medicine. He was a medical doctor and a coroner. I couldn't find a whole lot about his early life, but in 1871, at 23 years old, he joined the Freemasons and quickly began to rise up the ranks of the Freemasons, which is not easy. And he became a master of his home lodge just 3 years later, so at 26. And do you know what the Freemasons are as a society?
I could not give you a definition.
Yeah.
No.
So have you ever seen like a Masonic lodge? They're basically like in the United States, like at least like clubs for old men, but there's a lot more to it than that.
There's one a few blocks from our house.
Yeah, there is.
Really?
By Slider Inn. Yeah, we can walk there.
Yeah. And so the Freemasons are actually really interesting. So they evolved from these medieval crafting guilds that were basically like a really early form of unions. And so there was the Stonemasons Guild, and it was workers that made like the carved stone for cathedrals and stone buildings. But eventually this slowed down after the Middle Ages. There weren't as many stone cathedrals being built. So they were losing members of their unions, and they would bring in like honorary members, quote unquote, just to like keep their numbers up.
Huh.
And so this went from being a union of stonemasons to basically just like fraternities for grown men. And it was like a social club, and they have like philanthropic engagements, and also they mix in teaching about their dogma, which tends to center on things like morality, charity, and then the law of religion, though like not a specific religion. You can be any religion and join the Masons, but you have to believe in some god. It doesn't have to be a specific god, but you have to believe in a god.
That's a weird characteristic. I feel like a weird what is the word I'm looking for?
Trait? I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah.
And it is weird. And the thing about the Masons is they're highly secretive. So this is a hierarchical club. So you join in through initiation. A lot of times you have to be invited. You can't just like decide to join.
This makes me think, you know, Pinterest.
Yeah. Yes.
I first got it when I was in like 6th grade, and it was like that. Then you had to be invited to be able to make an account.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I had like the woman that I babysat for, she was like telling me about it, and I was like, I want to do this. And she was
Yeah.
like, oh, well, I'll have to send you an invite. Like,
That's
check
so
your
weird.
email. Yeah.
I had no idea. So like Pinterest, a lot of times you have to be invited to this secret society, and it's kind of like, it reminds me of Scientology, like how you're always trying to like ascend to the next level and go deeper and deeper into this society. And they don't tout themselves as a religion. Like it's just pretty much a social club where you all share these morals, and it's highly ritualistic. Like you are initiated through a ritual, and like this made me think of being in the sorority, and like you had to go through like all these rituals of initiation, and there were like candles and robes, and
it
like,
sounds like a cult.
Yes.
Which also Greek life sounds like a cult.
I mean,
to me anyway.
Maybe. And so it's you, and as you ascend into like these different layers of the hierarchy, you're learning secrets of the club, and like these secret teachings that like are said to have been passed down for centuries, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's highly secret. Like it is almost impossible to find any information about Masonic secrets on the internet, because it's just such a huge organization, and they do such a good job keeping their secret. And like once you ascend to the next level, you can't tell the secrets that you learn to people like in the world, or like people in the club that are lower than you.
And obviously they've gained their trust then. If you can't find anything about it on the internet, by knowing those secrets, you are more invested in this, and you feel trusted, which makes you feel good and loyal.
Absolutely. You're very loyal. And so this was basically like the formative years of his adult life. From 23 to 26, he was in this society, and it made a huge impression on Westcott. And from it, he seems to have gained a fascination for magical ritual and secret societies that would dominate the rest of his life. And so after being a Mason for 8 years, in 1880, he began studying the Kabbalah, which is basically a form of Jewish mysticism. And then he joined the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia, which is a town in England. And that society is also really interesting. It's basically like an even more intense version of the Masons. So they recruit only from people who are leaders of Masonic lodges. So it does not have very many members. It's highly prestigious, and they incorporate a lot more mystical teachings than even the Masons do. And so it centers around esoteric Christianity. And the logo of the Societas Rosicruciana features a pentagon, or not a pentagon, a pentagram inside of a red cross. And it claims to teach mystical knowledge handed down from ancient times. And again, it's highly hierarchical and ritualistic. And it was not long before Westcott was running that shit. He was named the chief of the SRIA. And it was in this society where Westcott met his new BFF, occultist Samuel Liddell McGregor Mathers. And so now he has this occultist friend, and they're running this like crazy like secret club that's like all about mysticism.
They're going to take over the world together.
Maybe.
Can I just ask, you probably already said it, what like date is this?
This is... by now it is 1880, and I think he was in this for 2 years. So now we are
post-Civil War.
nearing 1882, but it's in London. Okay. So it's Victorian era. And so we know that Westcott is crazy charismatic. Like he joins these societies really young.
Yeah. You kind of have to be able to go through the ranks of things like this and really succeed in a society like that.
Exactly. He just like immediately enters these like positions of leadership in these societies that are already really hard to get into. And so he loves these clubs, loves secret societies. He also really loves the magical ritual and the unorthodox religious beliefs. And now he has an occultist best friend who's also really into magic and the occult. And so what do you think he's going to do?
Create his own?
Exactly. I have right here, start a motherfucking cult, which is what he does.
I'm so glad I got it right. You're such a good teacher. Wow, you set that up for me to succeed. I thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so glad that you're paying attention and engaged in my lesson. So, like all great cult leaders, Westcott was blessed with a sacred secret text that only he could decipher.
Okay.
And according to him, this text was given to him in 1887 by Reverend A.F.A. Woodford, who was a Mason. And it was written in brown cipher ink, and Westcott claims to have been able to decipher it and discovered that it contained the rituals of the Golden Dawn, which was an unknown organization until he read this text. And it accepted both men and women. It was another ritualistic hierarchical society like the Masons. And so in 1888, Westcott and his friend Mathers and a third man that they met in the Rosicrucian Society, I don't know, how do you say that?
Crustacean, like a shrimp.
Rosicrucian Society. And this man was Dr. W.R. Woodman, like a shrimp. Yeah,
I don't even know if that's right. Are shrimps crustacean?
Okay. Yeah. And together, the three of them created the Order of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which was a secret magical society that in its heyday would boast over 315 initiations. And so, like the Masonic Lodge, the Order of the Golden Dawn was hierarchical. It had 10 different degrees, and that was within 3 separate orders. So there was the outer layer that when you joined, you became in the outer layer. And then there was the second layer, and then like the third order.
And so wait, when you said 315 initiations, is that total? Is that
That's
yearly?
Total.
Okay.
In its heyday. So the thing I read, it said its heyday lasted like around 5 years, I think, before it started crumbling.
Okay.
So they were getting people. It wasn't a ton of people, but this was also like really prestigious. You couldn't just walk in and say you wanted to do it.
Was it like still like highly secretive?
Yes.
And like, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't just out there in the open. So the outer order contained the majority of members. The second order, for a long time, it was just the 3 founders. And then eventually they started bringing more people in. And then the third order were known as the Secret Chiefs. And they existed on an astral plane and only communicated with the people in the second order, and they gave them directions on like running the organization.
Oh,
so they're not real.
Prerequisite is delusion.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically. So these secret chiefs told the second order, which was Mathers and his 2 buddies, and then they told everyone else what the secret chiefs were telling them.
Right. So they're just the middleman.
Yeah.
They're just the middleman.
They just take direction from the secret chiefs and impart their ancient wisdom.
Yeah, they're the only ones that know what they're saying, and so they have a duty to get the word out. And that's that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's really important stuff. So
what is the message?
So the message is doing magic. I'm going to read you. So the key purpose of the order was, quote, to prosecute the great work, which is to obtain control of the nature and power of one's own being. So it was basically a lot of meditation, a lot of like communicating with spirit guides, doing rituals, but it went beyond that. It kind
I was
of
going to say meditation is good.
Yeah, there were some good elements of just like mastering your sense of self, your impact on others, communicating with another plane of existence, and then it kind of keeps going. So there were 3 magical systems that were taught in the order. And the first one is the Key of Solomon, which is a book of spells that's been attributed to King Solomon and dates back to the 14th or 15th century. And in this book, it emphasizes that all magical operations are performed through the power of God. So this is kind of like, it bases itself on Christianity. Mm-hmm. And in this book, it contains all kinds of conjurations, invocations, and curses to summon and constrain spirits of the dead and demons and control them. So it teaches you how to summon spirits and then like kind of bend them to your will.
Did people feel like they were like chosen to become a part of this? Like that seems like pretty big stuff to be getting into.
From what I've understood is this is a society of people that didn't really fit in with like the stringent rules of Victorian society. It was a lot of like bohemian people and like artists and like rich people that like were bored, like heiresses that were bored and like didn't want to do what their family wanted them to do. It just kind of like became this like ragtag group of like very influential people. Like all these people had money and were great artists and writers and painters and what have you. But it was kind of just like a cool kids club and like a way to rebel against Victorian society.
Like smoking cigs, but instead doing magic.
Yeah, they're doing magic tricks and fucking around with pentagrams. It's all really fun. Like I would definitely want to join. And so other spells that the Key of Solomon could help you do, it could help you find stolen items, become invisible, and attract love. It also describes how to use like magical materials, perform exorcisms, and like what animal sacrifices should be made to spirits. So there's a whole lot in this book. That was the first pillar. And then the second thing it taught was Abramelin magic. And the Book of Abramelin describes an elaborate ritual that one can use to contact one's guardian angel. So I read through this whole thing, and I mean, it was a long ritual. And then you contact your guardian angel, and they share with you magical secrets. Excuse me. And then after this, you summon the 12 kings and dukes of hell, and you bind them up to remove negative influences from your life. And once both of those things are done, you can use magic. And like after that, you can do things like, again, find buried treasure, cast love charms, fly, become invisible, and so on. So you get the help of your guardian angel, you tie up all the kings of hell, and then you can do whatever the fuck you want.
I feel like you're describing to me like a board game, like we played last night. Call to Adventure.
Totally reminded me of Call to Adventure. It was like you go on these magical quests, and like it really does seem like people who just like wanted something interesting in their life, and it's basically them playing like an in-person like role-playing game.
Will you guys give them just a little bit of a backstory about that reference?
Oh yeah, so Tommy, Hayley's boyfriend, has this like really fun game called Call to Adventure that we played last night, and it's not really a role-playing game, but it's like a card/dice building game where you can build an adventure, basically. I don't know.
Yeah, like you build your own story of your life, and there's like some strategy to it, and there's like different, like everyone does not have the same objective to get in this game. You all have your own destiny, and from that you have different cards that affect your destiny, and you just have to try and basically get collectively the highest number of points in this game. And it's like magical and it's mystic.
Yeah, and it sounds like a real life version of this.
It does.
Like
it totally
you're
does.
just gaining these magical powers and influencing things and going on quests. And I do think it's just like a bored, frustrated people of the Victorian era, like wanting something different so desperately that this makes sense to them.
Yeah. It's easy to buy into stuff like that when you're like, first of all, you feel like you're special. You feel like the people are credible, and you just have all these things that are just make you feel like it's fact. It's easy to buy into, especially when it's
you have these charismatic leaders that are saying they're getting these messages from not God, but like these spiritual powers. And it just, especially in this time when spiritualism was such a thing, and like people were just starting to, at least people in England, like realizing that there was more that they could believe than just Christianity, and that there was like this whole realm of possibility. I think it was probably really easy to buy into.
Yeah.
And so the third pillar is this thing called Enochian magic, and this is basically like a form of ceremonial magic to evoke various spirits. And so I was really interested in what some of these rituals actually looked like when the Golden Dawn practiced them. And there's really not a whole lot of like reliable, at least I felt like reliable sources online about this. A lot of things were in books that you have to buy. And so obviously I didn't have time to buy any books, so I didn't get to. But if you want to buy books about it, you can go on Amazon, and there's a manual on the rituals of the Golden Dawn for a cool $671.
Whoa. Who wrote it? Someone like an aunt, like
no, some fucking
someone's
weirdo.
ancestor
No,
was
I don't think so.
the
I think it
Golden
was
Dawn.
just a guy. But there are other books that are cheaper, but like the main one is really expensive. But I think that's because it's like volumes of books, and there's like a ton of shit in there.
Yeah.
And you're basically buying like a library.
I mean, if it's volumes of books, they must have had some insider scoop. Like, I'd be
Yeah.
interested to see who the author was and what their sources are on that.
yeah.
Because if this
I
was a
mean,
secret society, how are you as a...
I mean, I didn't look into it that much, but my impression of him was he's just someone like capitalizing on like the new age, like Wicca, like interest that's happening right now and magic. And he's like one of 1,000 like spiritual gurus that does what they do. And he didn't seem like anyone special to me.
Okay.
But I also didn't really look into it. But I did find one of the main like foundational rituals taught by the order, and that's called the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. And this ritual is done before performing any other spells, and it needs to be mastered before a member can move on to the inner order. So it's like the most important spell, because like before you do any other spell, you do this. And basically it like cleanses the space and banishes negative or chaotic energy from the magician's space before they engage in magic or meditation. And it has 3 parts. So the first part is the Kabbalistic cross, and you gesture to the points of the Kabbalistic cross while chanting the Hebrew words from the last line of the Lord's Prayer. And then the second step is you trace 4 pentagrams in the air at each of the 4 cardinal points, which are like water, fire, wind, and earth.
Mm-hmm.
And at each one, you say the associated name for God. So there's like a different name for God that's like associated with each of these points. And lastly, the magician declares the archangels Raphael, Gabriel, Michael, and Uriel to be present while visualizing them at each of the cardinal points. And this is like said to cleanse the space of negative energy and protect you. And I was like thinking about doing this in my room.
I was going to say, imagine learning how to do this. Like, imagine
Yeah.
taking a class on like, first things first, you got to master this.
Yeah. And I was going to do it. And then I was like, do I really want to look up like Hebrew right now and try to say it? And I was like, no, it's not worth it.
What if you like said it wrong and then something terrible happened?
What if I invoked a demon?
Because if you guys don't know, for those of you who are listening, Kat and I believe in things that we cannot explain.
Yeah,
I'll say.
and we have them in our house. And I think the ghost in our house is a good guy, but I'm not trying to open up a portal.
Right, he is. I got a good whiff of him today. I get waves of what he smells like.
Yeah. He smells like, you say you smell like old man cologne?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I would like to smell it. I feel like he only haunts the upstairs, and I'm kind of jealous because I want to smell him.
It is.
And I don't go upstairs.
Yeah. I mean, feel free. I've got some new stuff going on in my bathroom. It's a very peaceful place.
Okay,
You should come see it.
I'll come use your bathroom. Can't wait. So like I said, the Golden Dawn attracted all kinds of wealthy eccentrics, especially artists, from actors to poets. One such person was Irish poet W.B. Yeats, who joined the Order of the Golden Dawn in 1890. Another notable member was Florence Farr, and she was an actress, and she joined in 1890 as well. And she succeeded Westcott's position as society leader in 1897. So if you remember back, Westcott was the one who started this order. And people started to like catch on that he wrote the founding documents himself and didn't decipher it. But instead of everyone leaving the order, they just like kicked him out and appointed Florence Farr as the new leader.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid.
Like, if you're going to kick him out for writing the founding documents.
Right. Now you know it's fake.
Yeah.
But
they're like, I'm going to stand for something. I don't know what, and it's not going to be important, but I have to stand for something now because I am so fucking bored with my life.
Exactly. Like we said, like, I think a lot of people like really did buy into this and take it seriously, but that's only after like they joined it thinking it was just a thing to make their lives less boring.
Yeah.
And it was just like a fun club that they all did magic, and it was kind of like playing a role-playing game, in my opinion.
Yeah, why would you be in a book club when you could be in a magic club?
This sounds way better, and I would definitely want to be a part of this.
I would feel special. If I was in that club, I would feel cool.
Totally. And Florence Farr was really fucking cool. Again, she was a woman of the Victorian era. She got married to this guy, and then he wanted her to just be like a housewife, and she was like, nah, fuck that. So instead she became like a successful actress and like traveled all around the world. She never married again. And she was especially great and like well known for depicting the character of like priestesses in plays. And she was so good at it that multiple playwrights like George Bernard Shaw and W.B. Yeats wrote plays just for her to like play the priestess in.
Oh my gosh, what an honor.
Yeah.
How would you not get a big head about you?
She had a big head. And so then she like became interested. This was always like the occult was kind of a way for you to break away from normal Victorian repressed life. And so she always kind of like broke the mold of what a woman was supposed to do, and the occult was always a major point of interest for her. So she joined this society and took her study of the occult very seriously. And her skill in acting, especially acting as a priestess, made her extremely impressive in ceremonial magic. So she quickly found her footing in this order, doing all the ceremonies, drawing people in.
Valuable. Yeah.
She was really good. And so, like we said, she took the place of the old leader. And it was said that she was particularly skilled in the Enochian magic, divination, and scrying. And scrying is like kind of like crystal ball magic. Like you're looking at a reflective surface and like reading what it tells you. And it was also said that once she contacted the spirit of an Egyptian princess, Nem-Kaft-Ka. I don't know who that is, but it was a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. And then let's bring it back to my favorite, Mr. Aleister Crowley. And he was probably the most notable member, at least in these days, of the Golden Order. And he was like we said, super famous occultist and writer. And so Crowley joined the order in 1898. And he had an interest in magic and the occult since a really young age. He had an aptitude for magic and rose very, very quickly through the ranks of the First Order and wanted to join the Second. And so Mathers, if you remember, he was one of the 3 founding people.
Okay.
The third guy died. We don't care about him. But Mathers is still around. Westcott was kicked out by this point.
I wonder what that process was even like. Like, did they have a procedure for kicking someone out, or was it a revolution? Probably a revolution.
It was probably
not drastic.
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty crazy that the foundation of this religion is a lie and you know about it and then kick them out. But like maybe that was just the people at the top that knew. I don't know. There's not a ton
it's
of
interesting to think about like how it was presented. Yeah.
Definitely. And so Mathers, one of the 3 founders of the order, approved his request. Like they had this relationship where Mathers was kind of mentoring Crowley in magic, but Crowley had a huge head. He was super egotistical and like thought he was better than Mathers. So their relationship was like kind of back and forth. But Mathers thought he deserved to join the Second Order. But Florence Farr, who controlled the London Lodge, rejected his application. So Mathers controlled the one in Paris. He approved him. And so Crowley sought entrance from far in London. And she was like, "Nabbish." And so she and the other members of the Inner Order, like W.B. Yeats, were worried that Crowley sought to use magic for evil. And so they rejected his request because Crowley was famous for summoning demons and just being really into like really dark magic. And so they were like, "No, like we're good wizards. We don't accept you." And so they refused him, but Crowley, being Aleister Crowley, we'll probably have a whole separate episode on him at another time. But
Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
He just sounds like an anti-hero.
He does. He's the perfect anti-hero. And he refused to take no for an answer. He was furious. And so he was like, "Mathers, like they did me dirty." And Mathers was like, "Yeah, I agree." And so Mathers encouraged Crowley to storm the Temple of London. And so Crowley went in, marched up the stairs in the Temple of London. He wore a black mask, a crusader's cross, and carried a golden dagger. And he was making the sign of the pentacle, but inverted and screaming. And he just like went into this temple.
My God. Thank goodness y'all are learning about this now, because it's a shame we didn't learn about this in actual history class.
It should be an actual history class.
Because it is history.
It actually, like, believe it or not.
This is legit. This is not a Reddit thread about...
This truly happened. These
so
people
crazy.
are just
God.
bonkers. And so he went into the plan, and his plan was just to, like, force his way in. I'm not sure what he thought was going to happen after that.
To make a statement.
Yeah.
He just needs to... I don't know what he needs.
Help. And so he stormed up the stairs, and he was easily stopped by Yeats and like a couple other wizards. And so they stopped him at the stairs.
One quick thing. It's pronounced Yates.
Yates. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm drunk.
I was going to correct it earlier, but I was like, there's no way she's going to say it again. But then like he's apparently a character. That's the only reason I was.
He is. And so Yates and a couple other wizards stopped him, and like a lot of things like literally say they like just kicked him down the stairs. And so, but it didn't end there.
Oh.
So wait, he's in all these robes and he just gets kicked down the stairs.
Yeah. He like thinks he's like this badass with a dagger, and he's like screaming and like making a sign of the pentacle. I don't know. It's a very dramatic moment for him. I love it.
He's a lot going on.
He's living his extra life.
Yep.
And so after that, Crowley is pissed. And he starts going around London trying to find people to like follow him, because he's like, if I can't be part of this secret order, like I'm better at magic than all these people, and like I'm just gonna like get my own followers. And so, but the temple, and especially Yeats, like viewed these people as victims, because they thought Crowley was like this dark wizard who's using these like horrible powers, and like he's gonna hurt people by doing this. And so spiritual warfare ensues.
Oh my gosh.
And basically, like Yeats kind of like took the forefront. Yeats and then Mathers at this point, like there are conflicting reports of whether it was like Yeats or Mathers that like engaged in this, but I think most said Yeats. And so they started casting spells and exorcisms at Crowley.
And did things happen?
So maybe. So
okay.
They were just trying to like do anything they could to make Crowley stop, because he's like poisoning these poor people with his dark magic, and there's just a lot of beef. And so they allegedly one spell cast, like Yeats cast a spell that made a vampire lay in bed by Crowley all night and was biting at his flesh. And Crowley was like screaming in agony. And Crowley said this himself. So I think what it comes down to is Crowley and Yeats were both poets, and they were writing all this poetry, and like their feud kind of helped like bolster their poetry about this.
Yeah.
And like also it said that like a lot of the like jealous, or like a lot of the rift between Crowley and Yeats was just that like Crowley was extremely jealous of Yeats' success with writing, because Crowley wanted to be a poet, but he just like wasn't as good as Yeats. And then like Yeats was also part of this magical society that Crowley couldn't get into. And it was just a whole thing. And men are fragile, so. And so after all of this drama with Crawley and Mathers, the order was pretty damaged. So Crawley did have a lot of followers. And then, like we said, right before this, Westcott died, or not died, but he was like disgraced from the church, and Farr took over. And then like Mathers had to go away because he was supporting Crawley in like his like quest to storm the temple. So he got pushed aside. Yates took his place. And so there were just all these fractures and schisms, and the order just like started breaking into independent groups. So there were followers of Mathers, and they formed the Alpha et Omega Temple, which was another secret society. And then Crawley took his, and Yates tried really hard to salvage it, but basically it was just fracturing. And people just didn't really have faith in it anymore. They're kind of just like following cults of personality of like the different people that were breaking off. And so the Order of the Golden Dawn by 1915 was basically gone. But some small offshoots of the order still exist today.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
There's a temple in Los Angeles, I think. It's not big by any means, but it's like a lot like the Masons. Like it's still around. Some people still really enjoy being part of these secret societies, and I don't really blame them. And then
either. But also, if you were to tell me that you're part of like a secret society like this, I'd probably think you were crazy. A little bit.
Yeah, but it's fun. And
do you know this because you're in?
I mean, I did have a Wicca phase, and that's my next bullet point, is that
yes,
many elements of the Golden Dawn have been incorporated into modern witchcraft and the Wicca religion. So like a lot of these ceremonies, a lot of the beliefs were pulled into these other things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's basically it. So it still has like ties to some things today, and it was just like this bonkers, awesome, magical, really cool, I think, like way to escape for a lot of these people.
You glossed over your Wicca phase, and I need to know more, and I demand that we know more.
Okay, so I think Wicca is awesome, and if you are a subscriber that believes in Wicca and like truly believes in like all the gods and goddesses and prays to them, like that's cool. I respect you. My Wicca phase was more like I took it as something where it's actually really cool. Like you can cast like happiness spells and like spells for prosperity. And basically it's just like meditating and focusing on certain goals and then tying them into colors and sensations. Like there's like different crystals and herbs you can use and like smell them, and like different smells and colors like evoke certain like feelings and memories in your mind, and you can use that in meditation just to like center your mind on like things, and like kind of it's like visualization exercises is kind of the way I used it. And I was into it for a while, but I kind of let it fall away. But I was never like, I never considered myself a Wiccan who used it in like a spiritual sense, but I used to do like the meditations and the charms, and I think it had benefit.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was a phase sophomore year of college, but I'm not ashamed of it.
I wouldn't be either. I, for a long time with one of my best friends growing up, Alex, who, again, it's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Alex.
Yeah. She and I played this game, and we called it the Salem game, where we just like pretended we were witches, and we created this whole like mystical world. And that's what we did for years. Like we created this whole world, and it's something that like was fun, but also it's something that we like we were in like 6th grade.
Yeah,
like not saying that like we were adults by any means, but there's
no, it's really fun. There's a certain like really special fun that comes with like believing you can do magic.
Yeah, and like when you're talking about relating certain like memories and things in your mind to things like smells and sensations, like that's a real thing.
Right. Like you burn certain herbs, smell certain like essential oils, and then that helps you meditate on certain like things. Like if you're meditating on happiness or forgiveness or motivation, energy, things like that. And it just kind of like helps focus your meditation. And that's real. Like, I don't think you can deny that, like, that's like, it can help, like, certain smells that you associate with, like, if you're meditating to get energy and lemon energizes you, smelling lemon while you meditate will help you.
Yeah.
Help your desired outcome.
Yeah. You have to study it and like reflect on it for it to actually be useful.
Yeah.
We should probably just create our own society.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. Night Classy.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to join, DM us on Instagram.
on Patreon.
Yeah, the new Patreon tiers, you're part of their secret club and society.
Yeah. We'll only mention this once right now, and this is your way in.
Yeah, if you're listening.
We only do 315 initiations per year.
That's right.
And already,
and it's pay to play, baby.
207 and 7 of them are taken right now. So it's going quick.
Yeah. It's going.
We do magic
Call
and it
our
works.
toll-free number.
1-800-NIGHT-CLASSY-69.
666. 666-699-420. Get on it.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for that lesson. That was a great recommendation from
Ken. Thank you, Ken. That was so awesome. I had a blast researching it. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks for listening. And thank you to our amazing Ken and Caitlin.
If you want to drop a topic for us to research, all you have to do is just go to our Patreon. Night Classy, $10 per month. That is just one order at Chipotle. It's the same as getting Chipotle one time per month.
I literally subscribe to random apps on iTunes that I'm just like too lazy to cancel my subscription. Don't even know what apps, and it probably costs like $10 or more a month.
Right.
So
if you listen to us, if you like what we're doing, if you want to be a part of the Night Classy family, $10 per month, $5 per month, $1 per month, whatever it is, we appreciate it.
$1,000 a month. There's no cap. I think people get confused with the tiers, but you can donate as much as you want.
We can arrange whatever you need. We'll take care of you.
Yeah. If you want to donate $1,000 a month, sky's the limit. Ask us and you'll probably receive.
We can negotiate.
Yeah.
We can figure something out for you.
Yes.
But I think this is our time.
That's it. That was my lesson. Thank you, everyone. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.